Hi guys, it's Miss Schreiber. Thankfully, Mrs. Boyer has helped me, and so I'm going to try this out as a test. I'm going to see how it works. Feel free to let me know. All right, so this is Pre-algebra, lesson 12.1. If you want to follow along with me, it's on page 486. All right, we're starting in geometry, and we start off with the basic geometric figures. Now, there are some things that you need to put down in your notes, and that's what I have here. Remember that you can always pause the video if you need to. All right, first off, we need the definition here of geometry. Geometry is the study of points, lines, and planes, so you need to write that down in your notebook, okay? Then, some of this should be review for you, but we need to know the diagrams or the images that go along with some of our geometric figures. So, for instance, a dot is a point, and it's usually named with a letter. So this, for instance, this would be point A. Now, this is a line. We know that from when we did the linear equations. You guys probably remember that. A line is going to have an arrow on both ends, okay, because that shows that it goes on forever in both directions, hypothetically, of course. Now, a line is usually named with 2 points along it. In this case, I just made them A and B, and we would write it like this. We would write A, B, and then we would put that little line symbol over top to tell that we're talking about a line, because there are some other things that we might be talking about. All right, next one. This is, I think, the hardest one to understand. This is what's called a plane. And there really isn't a picture for this one. This is just what the book had, and so I redrew it. A plane, again, it's going to be named by whatever points are on it. Like in this case, I named them A, B, C. A good way to think of a plane is like a clear piece of plastic that goes on forever in all directions. Do your best on that. Fortunately, we don't have to do a whole lot with that. All right, moving on. Okay, now we have some parts of lines we have to know. First one is called a line segment. And notice the line segment has 2 endpoints. It doesn't go on forever in both directions like a line does. That's how you know it's a segment. And we name it this way, by 2 points on the segment, and then we put the line segment symbol over top, which is just the line. Notice it doesn't have the arrows like our line did. All right, now we have a ray. An array has an endpoint, and it goes on forever in one direction. So it's only going to have one arrow on it. Again, we're going to name it using points along the sides there, and we're going to call this particular one as ray KL, and you see how I have my little ray sign arrows only on one end. All right, hopefully everybody's still with me here. Okay, next section, we're going to talk a little bit about angles. First, we need to write down the definition of an angle. An angle is a geometric figure made of 2 rays with the same endpoint. And again, this is in your book. I think at this point I'm on page 487, but this is also in your book. Now, an angle looks basically like this. Here's the important part. See how you have 2 rays? The important part to an angle is that they both have the same endpoint. And in the case of an angle, we call that endpoint a vertex. Now, we also label angles. We use the little sign like this. Notice it's not like the less than equal to, so be careful about that. But we also call it along the points on the line, A, B, C. One note on this, the vertex, whatever the letter is for the vertex, always goes in the middle. So we can call this A, B, C, but we can also call it C, B, A, or we could even call it just plain old angle B, but the vertex has to be in the name. All right, last section for notes here is some of the different kinds of angles. All right, first one is an acute angle. An acute angle is less than 90 degrees. We measure angles in degrees. And you notice it's, if you look at the right, let's look at the right angle first. The right angle, see how it has a little square thing here that I drew in? That shows you that it's a right angle, which means the corners are 90 degrees. And the reason we use the square is because most squares and rectangles have right angles. Now, the reason I wanted you to look at this is now you can see how the acute angle is less than 90. So see how it's smaller? That's how you tell it. Now, sometimes, of course, we can have bigger ones, and so we have what's called an obtuse angle. An obtuse angle is basically greater than 90 degrees. See how the other ray goes past the upright position here to make it an obtuse angle. And finally, we have, for today anyway, we have what's called a straight angle. And a straight angle looks pretty much like a line, except that you have one middle vertex. And a straight angle is said to be 180 degrees. Some of you may be able to figure this out. If we were to go, if this is 180 degrees, and we were to go from here and we were to go all the way around, how many degrees would that be? That would be a circle, which is, okay, some of you probably already knew, 360 degrees. All right, I'm going to see if we can hit a little bit of the homework, maybe just give you a little bit of help on that, but most of that you should be able to do on your own.